Hello everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel. It's your girl Miss Manda Christelle. Yeah. Today is not a hairdo session. Today is story time. So you can see me, I am in a car. And the story is about yeah, it has to do with the car. If you have been following my YouTube channel, you will know I just moved to the US. So check the video over here if you want to look what brought me to the US. I'll be sharing with you everything you need to know about the DMV, Department of Motor Vehicle, in the USA, precisely in the state of Nebraska, Lincoln City. I'll be telling you about my experience about the written part of the drive test. Yeah, you will understand what that means. Before diving right in, let me tell you something. One important thing I've learned here is time is precious. We usually say time is money, and of course, time is money. I have gotten to understand that here. Time is money. If someone gives you his or her time, know that that is very, very precious. Everybody has his scheduled plan ahead of time. From this time to this time, I'm at work. If I'm not at work, I'm home resting. Everybody's busy. Everybody's busy. And even if the person has nothing to do, their time to rest is very precious. And you calling all the time, I'm like, please, can you give me a ride to work? Please, can you give me a ride to church? You know, it feels so disturbing. You feel like you're disturbing everybody. Second thing, owning a car and driving by yourself in a developed country is not a luxury. It is a necessity. I repeat that, it is a necessity. Back home, in Africa in general, we know that when you own a car, when you're driving, you're like, yeah, that girl has made it in life. No, know that owning a car and driving by yourself is like having legs, because your car is your legs. I don't know how that sounds, but it is a necessity. Every activity you undertake, you need to drive yourself to that. You need to go to work, you need to go to church, even going to the grocery store, you need to drive yourself there. So it is paramount that you know how to drive. In this developed world, owning a car is a necessity. I'm sorry for overemphasizing on that, but yeah, it is a necessity. Back home, we have taxis available at any moment. Like with 100 francs, that is some cents, not even a quarter, it's like some cents. You have a taxi to wherever you're going to. Yeah, the distance you pay back home for 100 francs, it is like 13,000 here. 13,000 francs, yes, can you imagine that? Very expensive. So that's why you need to know how to drive. You need to have a car. This is your means of transporting yourself from one place to the other, and it is a necessity. I've gone through so many experiences here so far when I wasn't driving by myself. It was so tough. Well, I'll tell you about that in another video. I just want to make this a little bit short. But right here, I want to tell you about everything you need to know about taking the written test and the drive test in the United States of America with case study as Nebraska State. So having a license, it is in two phases. So the first phase is you take the written test, and if you pass, it will give you your learner's permit. Learner's permit is to permit you to drive in your car with someone who is having a license, a driver's license, and who is sitting right beside you on the front seat, and now you can drive. And of course, that person should be 21 years and above. So when you're having a learner's permit, you can drive on your own. It is a permit which is given to you so you can learn to drive with someone who is seated beside you to monitor you, like an instructor, you know. So you can be driving on the road and learning how to get used to their road. So we have a manual that you have to read, and believe me, it is very complex here. The road here is very complex. Back home, we just know it's a two-way, oncoming traffic and ongoing traffic, and that's simple as that. We don't have like one way with so many lanes and changing lane from this to this. So it is so complicated. I started learning driving back home, and it was easy, it's very simple. But yeah, their roads are so complicated. It's really so complex. So you have to read this manual to learn all their signs, learn their road signals, learn how it's supposed to function and everything. When you take this manual and you feel like, yeah, you have grasped so many things, you can go and take the written test. Now let me talk about my own experience about taking this test. I took this test 3 times. Yeah. A host of fun like me, I took the test 3 times. You can imagine how complex that was. You have 25 questions, multiple choice questions, and you have to read this manual. Imagine so many things you have to read, and you're having just 25 questions. The deal is, if you pass 20 questions straight without any failed question, you will not need to go through the 25 questions. But if answering the questions along the line you face some, you will have to go through the 25 questions. In these 25 questions, make sure you don't fail up to 6 questions. Yeah. Make sure you don't fail up to 6 questions. Because if you face 6 questions, you have failed. So you are supposed to at least pass 20. I went in for the first time. I was feeling ready because there is this application, the DMV application. Yeah, Department of Motor Vehicle application for example, multiple questions that you can be answering. When you read the manual, you can go to this application and you answer this question. They have a set of 25 questions equally, just trying to set it the way the DMV sets that. I was taking these questions on the application and I was having 20 on a roll. I was having like 20 on a roll. I was always passing all of them until I got to a point where I was having 100 and 100, 100 and 100. So I went there. I was kind of confident, but I think my confidence wasn't so high because it was the first time I was taking this test. But I felt like, yeah, I have at least a knowledge of something, so I think I can do this. And if it's just 25 questions, then who won't pass this test? It's just 25 questions. I went there. I was answering these questions. Some were very similar to what I was taking in the application, and some were very strange to me. If you can skip the questions and come later to them, maybe you're looking for questions that are more common to you, you are more acquainted to. So when I got this, skipped some, and when you finish skipping all the ones that you had skipped started coming back. I'm like, damn, how can I go back to the question I skipped second to this one? How can I skip again for the second time? I was making tumbu, boss calabar. Which one should I pick? Because some questions were so strange to me. So I did that, and at the end, he said failed, and he gave me the result. Yeah. I felt this kind of disappointment in me, and I was like, yeah. You're given the option to check the questions you failed and see their answers. So I took the option of checking the questions I failed. So I failed 7 questions. Yeah, and I was not required to fail up to 6 questions, but I failed 7 questions. I was like, when you are done taking the test, go to this lady and then you give them, because they give you kind of a code to the machine where you were taking your test. They take this code now, they check the machines, they're like, then... That's all right. It's not bad. You can take the test again whenever you want. So you can come back the next working day and take the test. I'm like, she saw how disappointed I was. She was like, that's fine. That's okay. Don't be sad. You can take the test again. I was like, okay. So she computerized certain things and then gave me a paper and said, when you come, you will not need to file all your documents again and everything. Just come with this paper, hand it, and you take the test again. I was like, okay. And then I left. So I went there with my sister. She's the one who drove me to the DMV. So when I went out, she was like, tell me, how was it? I was like, she saw that disappointment on my face. She was like, it's okay. It's not bad. You can take that again. It happens. Don't bother. You can try that again. So you take the app again, read the manual again. We got home and she was asking me, when do you think you can take the test again? I was like, I saw so many questions that were kind of strange, and I had taken the application so seriously. I had gone through those questions several times, and I don't know why some questions were strange to me. Then she had to call a friend, and she shared the application with the person, and this person was like, oh, this one is the old version, so we have the updated version of the application. So she sent that to me. When she sent it to me, I was like, okay, fine. So yes, I read this manual. I took the questions again. I was still having 100 and 100, 100 and 100. So I went there again for the second time. That was 1 week after I went again to take the written test. So when I got there, I just gave the paper, the form they had given me, and I was just sent to one of the computers, and then you put in the code and the questions appear. So you have 25 questions. Remember, 25 questions. If you answer 20 straight, you've passed. Or if you fail along the line, know that you have 25 questions to take, and make sure you don't fail up to 6 questions. So I sat there, I was going, and it was moving, and I started skipping questions. I said, Manda, not again. How can I be skipping? I have read this thing. I have gone through this app. I have gone through this manual. I shouldn't be skipping. I should just be picking and going ahead. All the 25 questions came and passed, and all the questions I was keeping started coming back. So I was double reading these questions, reading them out loud to really get them so I can pick the right answer. And at the end, I failed exactly 6 questions. You know, I wasn't supposed to. So I felt so disappointed. When he said failed, I said, oh no, not again. Like, I shouted out loud. There was this man that was sitting beside me, and he just turned and looked at me. I was like, he smiled. I wasn't in the mood of smiling, so I just gave a faint smile and left the place. So when I went to the man at the reception, he was like, oh, just a question away. I was like, can I come tomorrow and take the test again? He was like, oh, sorry, tomorrow is Friday. Yeah, but it's a public holiday. We don't work tomorrow. I asked him, can I take the test right now? Can I take it again today, like now? I don't know. He was like, no, we're sorry. You can't take the test. Just come next week, Monday. So that day, I was dropped at the DMV department by my sister, and she had something to do, so I had to find my way back home, maybe take an Uber back home. So I went home feeling disappointed. When I got into the house, my sister was like, did you have it? With a smiling face. I was like, no. She was like, oh, you know, I felt how I was also feeling disappointed. I wanted to have it for my own self, but I also wanted to make her like happy about it. But you know, you don't want someone to feel disappointed about you. With all of this, she had to call one of her friends, and this person told her, maybe you should check on the DMV online. Like, they have these sample questions on their online website. So ask your sister to go to the online website, and these questions are the exact questions that come. So when she told me that, I went to the DMV website online. This practice test, I was taking it. I took it then. She asked me, when are you prepared? I'm like, Monday, I can do that again. She was like, are you sure? You have taken this test twice, and this will be the 3rd time. Do you think you want to precipitate into this? I'm like, I was just 1 question away, so I think I can do it. Monday, I will do it again. I will. I want to do it on Monday. She was like, okay, if you think so. I was like, yeah, I have the weekend to do it. I have Friday, Saturday, and Sunday to really focus on this, and then Monday I will do it. So on Sunday, there was kind of a party or something. They were like, will you come? I'm like, no, sorry. I have something more important to do. I want to really take this thing. I want to get it off my mind. So Monday came. I went there feeling all confident. I was like, this time I am taking this thing. I don't want to argue with anyone. I don't want to hear anything. This time I am taking this thing, and I am feeling so confident. I will do this. I will do this. I will have it. I'm coming out of there smiling. Yeah. I gave the man, the receptionist, the paper, because the second time they still gave me a form. Now when you come, give this form, you get to any machine, and then you type the code, and then you can have your questions. So I sat there. First questions, the same thing that I saw on the application. I just click the answer. Second question, I just click the answer. Third questions. And it was just so going. Like, it's just as if I was taking the practice test on their website. Because when you take it on their website, when you take an option, and that's the correct answer, they tell you correct answer. So I got used to all your questions on their practice test on their website. I got very used to this. So I was just taking this and going, taking this and going, taking this and going. And it just stopped and was like, passed. I didn't have to go up to 25 questions. Yeah, your girl got 20 questions straight. And I got everything right. I was like, yeah, this is the feeling I wanted to feel, you know. So I went there all smiling. The guy was like, how did you do? Like, at the receptionist, right? How did you do? I was like, great. I did great. He was like, wow, that's awesome. Good. I just had to go to the counter, and then I paid the required fee that I was supposed to pay so that my learner's permit will be shipped to my address. Like, it took about 2 weeks for it to be shipped to my address, but they give you like a form that you can start using before your learner's permit. Let me show you how it looks like. I'm using my front camera to record, so the letters are upside down. Learner's permit. It looks actually like the driver's license, but it's just the learner's permit. It has an expiration date of 1 year. I got that. I started learning with someone sitting beside me. And yeah, it is very easy to have a car. It's cheaper than back home because you can have a car in a deal. Like, it can cost $5,000. It depends. We have cars cheaper. It depends on how it is so important for you to have a car fast. So it's not about how expensive the car was. It's about having a car that you can drive yourself. You can move yourself. So I went to this dealer. You give a down payment. You don't have to pay everything at once, because if you don't have the money, you don't have to pay everything at once. You can just get into a contract. You give a down payment and start paying like monthly in order to complete the money. Yeah. I'll be coming back to you when I take my drive test. This was the written test. So remember, I told you this is in 2 phases. We have the written part of the drive test, and we have the drive test actually to have your license. So when you feel ready, you can go to the DMV to get your drive test. And this drive test, I am about to take mine because I feel ready already. I haven't taken mine yet. So I haven't been driving on the road by myself. Someone always sits beside me. Yeah. Yeah, I'm coming to you. So just hold on. I'll be taking the drive test next week. When I come, I'll be telling you how it went. Pray for me. I hope I pass this test. I hope I pass this test. I hope I pass this test once. I don't want to take this test like 3 times the way I took this written test 3 times. No, I want to take this drive test at once and then get my license so I can drive myself by myself. I will not need someone to sit beside me when I'm driving. That's what I want to do. So thank you so much for watching. If you haven't subscribed to my channel yet, please do subscribe and stay connected with me for more videos and my experience living in the US, coming from Africa as a lottery winner. So thank you so much for watching. Bye bye.